You ever have someone so obsessed with control that they call the cops on the person who owns the place they're standing on? That was my Friday night. Blue lights flashing, officers closing in, and a woman named Patricia Hale convinced she was finally about to bring me down. She just didn't know I'd already won. The red and blue lights shimmered across the marina, cutting lines through the still water. I finished tying off my boat, calm as could be, while the sound of heavy boots echoed on the dock. Two officers, Martinez and Chen, were walking toward me, the kind of walk that says, "We've seen worse, but we're not sure yet." "Evening, sir," Martinez said, flashlight angled just enough to catch my face. "We got a call about trespassing and unauthorized docking." Behind him, standing in the halo of the patrol car's headlights, was Patricia Hale, Sunset. Point's self-declared queen and eternal self-appointed enforcer of rules no one had ever voted for. Her arms were folded, chin up, wearing that expression of smug victory that only HOA presidents and movie villains seem to master. Before I tell you how that night ended, you need to know how it started. When I first bought my house at Sunset Point, I thought I'd found paradise. The kind of place you see on travel brochures. Calm water, endless sky, quiet mornings. The property came with something unusual, though. A 51% ownership stake in the marina next door. That marina had history. Built 40 years ago by a man named Frank Mason, it had survived storms, recessions, and more HOA drama than anyone deserved. When Frank passed, his lawyer contacted me about buying the controlling share. I checked the numbers twice, then said yes once. What I didn't realize was that my new neighbor, Patricia Hale, saw that same marina as her personal kingdom. Patricia had been running the Sunset Point HOA for years, a pastel-colored empire of printed notices, parking citations, and friendly reminders. She was the type who could find fault with a rainbow. Grass too long? Fine. Shutters the wrong shade of blue? Violation. One neighbor once told me she measured his mailbox height with a ruler. I met her my first week there. She arrived with a welcome basket that weighed less than the binder she carried under her arm. "Welcome to Sunset Point," she said sweetly. "I've highlighted the most important HOA rules. Please pay extra attention to Section 4 through 17. Those cover watercraft." Her tone made watercraft sound like a crime. I smiled, thanked her, and set the binder on a moving box. I figured I'd read it after unpacking. That was mistake number one. Patricia didn't like being ignored. The real trouble started the first time I launched my boat, a modest 24-foot cruiser, nothing fancy, just reliable. As I was backing it down the ramp, Patricia appeared out of nowhere, clipboard in hand like she'd been summoned by the sound of an outboard motor. "Excuse me," she snapped. "You can't launch that without HOA approval." I told her calmly that I lived at 47 Waterfront Drive and that my property included marina rights. She blinked. "That doesn't matter. All vessels must be approved by the HOA board." That's when I dropped the quiet truth. "Actually, Patricia, I own 51% of this marina." The silence that followed could have sunk a ship. Her face cycled through disbelief, confusion, then fury. I should have known. That was only round one. Over the next few weeks, Patricia launched a smear campaign that could have earned her a political seat. Every morning, new email to the neighborhood. Unauthorized vessel threatens community standards. Every evening, her and a few loyal followers gathering at the dock, whispering like a suburban paparazzi. She filed complaints with the HOA board, the city, even the local coast authority. Each time I sent them the same documents, the deed, the tax receipts, the ownership papers. Each time she found a new angle. She started photographing my boat from every direction, claiming it was aesthetic pollution. She measured the dock distance with a tape measure and swore I was 3 inches over some invisible line. She even hired a marine consultant who turned out to be her nephew with a fishing pole and a bad attitude. It was ridiculous, but it was wearing on people. Neighbors stopped making eye contact. Slip renters whispered about fines, and every time I tried to reason with her, she'd talk over me, quoting bylaws that didn't even apply. Then came the fateful HOA meeting. Patricia stood at the podium with a PowerPoint titled "The Boat Problem, a Clear and Present Danger." 45 minutes. Slides, red arrows, dramatic captions, like a courtroom drama over fiberglass. When she finally wrapped, I walked calmly to the front. "Mind if I share something?" I asked. I connected my phone to the projector and brought up the original Marina deed. As you can see, I said, the Marina is a separate legal entity. The majority owner, that'd be me, has full control over slip assignments and operations. The HOA has no jurisdiction. The room went silent. Then whispers. Then a few suppressed laughs. Patricia's face turned the color of a stop sign. "This is impossible," she shrieked. "You can't just walk in and claim ownership." "I didn't claim it," I replied calmly. "I bought it. Deeds on file with the county if you'd like to check." The board exchanged nervous looks. For the first time, they realized they'd been enforcing fake authority. 2 days later came the 911 call. That's how I ended up on that dock. The night calm broken by sirens and salt air. Officer Martinez studied my documents on my phone, his flashlight flicking between screens. His partner, Officer Chen, was trying not to laugh. Behind them, Patricia tapped her foot so fast it sounded like a woodpecker. Finally, Martinez turned toward her. "Ma'am," he said gently, "this gentleman owns the Marina. You can't trespass on property you own." Her jaw dropped. But the HOA has rules. This violates our standards." Officer Chen stepped forward, voice firm. "Ma'am, calling in a false emergency is a serious offense. I'd suggest you don't do this again." And just like that, her power crumbled. Word spread faster than gossip at a bake sale. By morning, everyone knew about the police call. And suddenly, the same neighbors, who'd once stayed quiet, began speaking up. "Tom from Unit 12 told me she once banned his yellow kayak because it was too bright." Sarah from Unit 33 said Patricia made her write an essay explaining why she deserved a boat slip. That was the moment I realized I wasn't the only one who'd had enough. I called for a community meeting, open to all residents and Marina users. The turnout was massive. You could feel years of frustration humming through the room. I laid out my plan. 1. We're upgrading the docks. New cleats, proper lighting, real safety gear. 2. Slip assignments will be transparent. No favoritism. 3. Respect your neighbors, and you're welcome here. No beauty contest for boats. The applause was instant. Then Patricia stood, voice shaking, eyes blazing. "This is a coup. You're destroying everything that makes Sunset Point special." Before I could respond, an older resident named George stood. "Patricia," he said evenly, "the only thing being destroyed here is your chokehold on this community." The crowd erupted. One by one, people shared stories. The garden gnome ban, the mailbox wars, the bird feeder crackdown. When it finally quieted, the HOA vice president raised his hand. "I move to hold a vote of no confidence in our current HOA president." The count, 17 in favor, 2 against, 1 abstention. Her sister. Patricia stood frozen, clutching her binder like a lifeline. By the next morning, the board formally separated HOA governance from Marina operations. For the first time in years, people smiled at each other at the docks. I posted a new sign. Sunset Marina, privately owned and operated. Respect and you're welcome. 2 weeks later, an application showed up. Name, Patricia Hale. She'd bought a small sailboat. I read her file quietly. Numerous complaints, documented harassment, and one very public misuse of emergency services. I stamped the form, denied, then added a note. Due to prior conduct, application cannot be approved. Decision is final. That afternoon, she appeared at the Marina office, face red, voice sharp enough to cut glass. "You can't do this to me. I built this community." I looked up from my paperwork. "You're welcome to dock at the public marina up north," I said. "I hear they've got an excellent HOA compliance program." She left without another word. Months later, word spread she'd sold her home and moved inland. The new board reversed nearly every one of her old rules. The bird feeder ban was officially lifted. As for me, I spent that evening tightening a cleat on my boat, just like that first night. But this time, under a quiet sky, no blue lights, no drama. Families came back. Kids fished off the docks. And for the first time, Sunset Point finally lived up to its name. Patricia thought calling the cops would humiliate me. Instead, it revealed everything she'd been hiding. The control, the fear, the obsession with power. Sometimes justice doesn't need a courtroom. Sometimes it just needs the truth and a well-tied cleat hitch.